I, as a therapist, use music to connect with my clients and build a rapport with them. Through that rapport and connection, we can work on whatever they need to work on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Therapy Unmasked, brought to you by Ability Innovations and The Village Behind the Mask, a nonprofit here in Utah that helps parents and families in the autism and disability communities find resources and help and essentially create their own village to thrive in their therapeutic journeys. Today, I am joined by a music therapist from... Is it Harmony Music?
Harmony Music Therapy.
Harmony Music Therapy. And her name is Carly. And I'm going to just have her introduce herself real quick and tell you all about her credentials and everything.
Hi, I'm Carly Parrish. I am a board certified music therapist. So that means that I went to school and earned a bachelor's degree in music therapy. Then I did an internship with another board certified music therapist. And then I took a big test and they decided that I knew enough about music therapy to be called a board certified music therapist.
Awesome.
And then I keep doing continuing education as well. So I've recertified twice.
Sweet.
Since school.
So you've been in the game for a while. That's what it sounds like. So I had never heard of Harmony Music Therapy before. How long have they been around and how long have you been with them?
I have done work with Harmony since about 9 years. And I haven't ever been like a full-time music therapist because I'm a full-time mom, but I keep my toes in the water with Harmony. But the founder of Harmony, JC, is amazing. And she started Harmony when she got out of school. I think it's 15 years old now.
Wow. That's so crazy. And that's so cool. And it's hard for like people who are not in like the therapy world to understand how cool that is, because music therapy, especially in Utah, doesn't play very well with insurance companies.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is strictly just private pay. Mm-hmm. So to build up a whole practice and have it running for 15 years in Utah on just private pay, that's very impressive. Yeah. So do you primarily do a lot of work at like hospitals and stuff, or is it more like schools, or do you come to like private clinics like ours? Like, tell me a little bit about what your workload looks like.
My personal workload has been private one-on-one sessions in clients' homes. Mm-hmm. And then I have also worked in schools, particularly the Utah School for the Deaf and Blind.
Where's that at? Is that Salt Lake?
There is a campus in Salt Lake. Okay. There's a campus in Ogden where I worked.
Gotcha.
And there's also a campus in Springville.
Okay. I knew they had one in Salt Lake. I didn't know about the Ogden and Springville one. So that's cool. So how long have you been working with them?
I have worked up there for 4 years, I believe. Fortunately, they just had to cut their funding for music therapy. So I won't be there next year, but it has been a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, making those connections and stuff. Did you get to like work with any of those kids in particular that like stuck out? I mean, obviously like staying HIPAA compliant, right? Not sharing names, but like, were there any stories or anything that were really cool with working with them?
There is one kid in particular that I'm thinking of. He came in the middle of the school year, and the school environment was really overwhelming for him. And so when I first met him, he just cried the whole time. And so I didn't want to overwhelm him with all the sensory input that music therapy kind of is. Right. But over time, was able to work on coming into the music therapy group little by little for like 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. And one day I just decided to try something crazy. I was singing my hello song, which goes, say hello from your head to your toes, and kind of repeats that. And usually I have kids strum with their hands on my guitar. But I decided to have him strum with his foot. So he reached out from his wheelchair and strummed the guitar with his foot. And so we kind of continued that when I was able to see him. And it was a lovely moment of intention on his part and meeting him where he was at on my part. And
that is so cool. And I'm sure you have lots of fun little moments like that with all the kids there.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's awesome. I've actually never met anyone that's like worked at those schools before. So it's interesting to hear like an insider perspective on it for sure.
Yeah, the kids are great.
So obviously when it comes to music therapy, it's a little bit different than traditional like occupational therapy or speech therapy or physical therapy. If you could define it for like our parents that maybe listen or anyone that's checking out this podcast, how would you define what music therapy is?
Well, my canned definition is music therapy is using music to work on non-musical goals. But my expanded definition is that I, as a therapist, use music to connect with my clients and build a rapport with them. Through that rapport and connection, we can work on whatever they need to work on. And of course, we still use music to work on those things. But it's just music is such a quick way to connect. All humans are musical. And so if we can meet in the music, which is sometimes easier than speaking or making eye contact or anything like that, if we can meet in the music, then we've got a connection point and we can go from there.
I've heard it said before that music is a universal language that all of us can connect to. And I think that's a good way of like looking at it, especially with kids who are maybe like delayed in their speech or developmentally delayed. Mm-hmm. They still can connect with music and learn through it. So how have you like specifically, so like Ability Innovations, our sister company, Children in Motion, and then the nonprofit, The Village Behind the Mask, our main focus is on kids with disabilities and specifically like autism. How do you see music therapy helping kids with autism?
My immediate answer is that music can provide a really good structure, which is helpful for kids with autism because you've got a predictable, like, we're going to sing this part and then it's going to go to a chorus part. We're going to sing another thing, then we're going to go back to the chorus. So it can provide structure that way, but also just music in general is structured rhythmically. And so that it gives us a good foundation.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the structure part of it. And I think also, I mean, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, right? But music can be very adaptable to each kid, right?
Yes.
So like maybe one kid is like really obsessed with watching you play the guitar or whatever. But then another kid like couldn't care less about the guitar. But when you pull out those drums, like like those little drum sets, he's all in. So how do you determine like what instrument is right for which kid?
I think you can kind of look at their energy that they're putting off in the moment. And I guess if we want to move that energy a certain direction, right? If a kid is really hyped up and we actually need them to bring it down a little, then I'm not going to bring out the drums, but I might bring out my guitar and start drumming on it a little bit, like ba, 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 and have them maybe drum with me. And then I can add in some chords, bring it down a little so that we can get them into a place where they are in a space to work.
Like talking about those instruments, like what are like your go-to instruments? What kind of stuff do you mostly play and use when you're doing sessions with kids?
In every session, I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to sing because that's my comfort zone. I'm going to use a guitar or a ukulele because that gives a really solid harmonic bass. And then I love to bring novel instruments into sessions because it gives kids an opportunity to try something new, which sometimes is tricky.
So like novel instruments, like, do you have an example?
Oh, I have some examples.
Sweet.
This is called a Cabasa. And you can play it any way you want to, but traditionally you put your hand right here and twist this handle and it goes. Kids love this because it's a really cool sensory experience. Do you want to touch it?
I'd love to touch it. So it's called a Cabasa?
Yeah, Cabasa.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah.
With the beads and everything. I get the appeal for sure.
Yeah. And it's really easy to make a sound with it too, because even if you're just holding it, it'll make a sound. Right. So that one's a fun one. Another favorite of the kiddos is this guy called a clatterpillar. Okay. So you just go like this. You kind of work on that up and down opposite movement.
It's incorporating like that fine motor movement.
But they love this instrument. And then...
So these are what we would call like novelty instruments.
Novel instruments.
Yeah.
That something they've probably never seen before. Because they've probably seen a guitar or at least heard a guitar. Yeah. But they probably have never seen something like this.
Oh, yeah. My grandma has one of those. Yeah? I don't know what it is.
It's called a Kalimba.
Okay.
So this is a melodic instrument. And it's a little bit harder to play, but it really can work on those fine motor skills. And it's really calming.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Sweet.
Do you want to try?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can play it, but...
You just push your thumb on the little thing.
It's even got like notes on it, too.
But that doesn't really matter with a kid. They're just going to improvise.
That's awesome.
And make sounds that sound really cool.
That is awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
And then you play the ukulele and guitar. Are you like versed in the piano as well? Or?
I do play the piano. I don't love to bring that into sessions because it's hard to lug a piano around.
Well, if you do sessions at our Layton location or Ogden location, they both have keyboards that you can use. So, and I mean, kids love the keyboard, and we don't have like music therapists on staff, but kids just love going in there and just smacking it around.
Right. So then a music therapist can come in and like kind of structure that play.
Well, that's so cool. Thanks for showing off all your stuff. And I can definitely see like how that helps kids with like sensory, like if they're sensory seeking, or even like that calming one, like if they're sensory avoidant and they need to regulate a little bit. So I think that's really cool stuff. Do you have any other experiences you'd want to share?
Thinking of one that's actually not technically music therapy because we weren't in a therapy session, but I have a friend whose son is autistic, and we were babysitting one day. And before that, I hadn't really been able to make a connection with him, but he was at our house. And so I brought out my drums. I have a djembe and another tall drum that's about this tall. Okay. And we just started playing drums. And at first I was imitating him, and then he imitated me. And we got into this rhythm of going back and forth with a rhythm going on. Mm-hmm. And it was so fun. And we went for way longer than I thought. I thought this is going to last 2 minutes, but it lasted like 15. Wow. And it was so great. And I was like, using my music therapy skills, even though it's not music therapy particularly. Mm-hmm. But after that, he always says hi to me and will acknowledge me. Cool. So I feel like that helped me to build a connection with him.
So that's so
and why
cool.
not go with that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Like make it fun and make it interesting to them and incorporate like their learning and their milestones and everything into it too. So that's super cool. So obviously we are a pediatric clinic and we work with kids. Do you primarily work with kids, or do you work with adults too, or how is it different?
I have primarily worked with kids in the past, and at the schools that I've been at, the kids have had severe disabilities. So they've ranged in age from preschool up till about 15-ish. So I've worked with kids with disabilities in that age range. Another cool thing at the school that I worked at was they allowed me to do a music therapy session with their high school class. And those kids were blind or had some sort of sight impairment, but otherwise typically developing. And so I got a little bit of a taste of doing music therapy with kind of teenagers, which was so fun, even though I was kind of scared to do it at first. But
because how do you prepare yourself for something like that? Like working with a bunch of kids that are impaired in like their vision, like that must be pretty nerve-wracking.
I walked in having a plan and then threw the plan out the window but they were all amazing kids and really fun to work with.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing, like I've learned like working here is I used to use like the term like special needs, like a lot, right? But I've kind of learned that like these kids and kids in these situations, they don't really have special needs. They have the same needs as everyone. They just have disabilities and they have different abilities that they need help working on and stuff. So like, it's just changing that mindset of like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. Like these kids have these issues and these issues. When in reality, like you're just helping them like overcome certain struggles or challenges that they're going through and helping them reach those milestones. At Ability Innovations and Children in Motion, we've worked with music therapists in the past. Well, the way we've done it is we've had them come in and they have like full run of our gyms and they can do their own sessions, but we've also had them do co-treats with other clinicians here. So like our occupational therapists or our physical therapists or our speech therapists. Do you want to like explain like how that would work? How does a co-treat work with a music therapist and another discipline?
I think co-treatment is such an amazing opportunity because two heads are better than one. So you're bringing two different areas of expertise into the session to benefit this one kiddo. As a music therapist, I think I would ask the occupational therapist or speech therapist what goals they're working on, and then maybe observe them in how they're working on those goals with the kiddo. And then I would come up with ideas of how to add music into that, because music can be really motivating and it can lengthen an attention span. And so we can use music to just build on what an OT or a PT or a SLP is doing. And my hope would be that we can intensify that or help work on things in a faster amount of time or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Like intensify, like maybe magnify it a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, that's great. And I mean, that's like the power of co-treats, right? Like you can help with like the regulation process. And once the kid is regulated, they're more apt to learn like certain speech skills that they're working on, things like that.
Yeah. Something that I thought of was if the kiddo is working on like gross motor, I as a music therapist might get my guitar out and kind of reflect what they're doing, and then try and move that into, I'm holding an air guitar, move that into using the music to cue different types of movements that the OT wants to work on. So like if they want to jump, like I'll do a certain guitar strum that is that in the past has showed me that it'll make kids jump, jump along. And if we want to tiptoe, then I'll maybe go like, like on the guitar. So we can just support their movement with music.
Because music making a soundtrack to their therapy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And because music uses so many different pathways in the brain. So we're just adding to what they're learning already.
So as like a licensed professional music therapist, what like words of encouragement would you give to parents who have kids with autism or other disabilities to maybe encourage them to work on skills at home, or maybe they're just frustrated with their situation? Like, do you have words of encouragement for them?
All humans have needs and strengths, and the kids maybe feel like they have a lot of needs, but they also have strengths, and to look for those strengths and build on those strengths, to water the flowers, not the weeds. There's always something that we can learn from every human too. So maybe you can learn from your kiddo to savor something small, or to have joy in all the moments, or to have patience, or in struggle. And I think if we zoom out our perspective and see it not as this problem to be solved, but as a human to be loved, then those little things can maybe fade away.
Yeah, I love that. That kind of goes along with one of our values at Ability Innovations is focus on ability, because rather than looking at a child as being broken and needing to be fixed, we want to focus on them as an individual, like you said, and the abilities that they do have and that they do offer. Me and Nick on this podcast, we've constantly talked and preached about like how these kids who have autism, who have disabilities, they can change the world. And a lot of them, we've seen adults with autism and disabilities that have made great strides in humanity and really pushed things forward in a way that a neurotypical person probably couldn't have done. But because of those abilities, they're able to do that. And so I love that you bring that up, to just focus on the ability, look at your kid's strengths, and just know that your child isn't broken. They just might need a little help and support with certain milestones or things that they might be delayed on, or certain regulation that they have a hard time handling. So,
Yeah. And it's okay to ask for help.
right.
Everybody needs help.
That's why we're here, right? We're here to help, right? We're not here to make them feel bad about who they are. We're here to lift them up. One question we ask everyone that comes on this podcast is, who is your favorite superhero? And the reason I ask that is because we're very superhero themed here at Ability Innovations. So who is your favorite superhero and why?
My favorite superhero is Captain Marvel, because she was the first girl superhero that I ever kind of saw. And I think she's awesome. She's strong and powerful, and I love that.
Yeah, she's got all the powers, doesn't she? Are there any other things that can help kids, music therapy wise, as we're concluding this episode? Is there anything else you'd like to say about that?
I think music can do everything, but specifically, music helps with communication, because we are utilizing those different pathways in the brain that the music taps into, whereas just speech doesn't necessarily. So kids who maybe are hesitant to speak in a conversation in a song context, they might make a sound at the right time, or they might imitate sounds or just vocalize, and that can lead into singing the words. And then we can generalize that into speaking. And then I also wanted to mention social skills, because we can create a really easy environment of naturally turn taking. We can work on imitation and attention with music really easily. So those are great social skills. And then movement, because music is rhythmic, and we kind of talked about that. It can help us to organize those gross motor movements in a fun way. And then finally, with emotional regulation, I kind of talked about meeting a kid where they're at a higher energy and bringing it down. But we could also meet them with low energy and bring it up. And music is a really good way to help kids learn to identify emotions and to express emotions. Because I have this drum here. It's pretty easy for a kid to bang on it when they're angry, or to swish it if they're sad or nervous. And that's a really easy entry level of entry, 0 point entry. That's what they call pools. But everybody can hit a drum.
Right. It's how you hit the drum.
Yeah. And then we can talk about that, or just let them express their emotions, or wherever we need to go, So I think music is a good tool for emotional regulation as well.
I think so too. I really agree with that. Well, thank you for joining us today, Carly. I appreciate it. And we're really excited to partner with you and with Harmony Music Therapy to help offer music therapy services. Right now, it's just going to be at our Ogden and Layton location. I talked with them briefly about potentially getting it up in Murray at our Children in Motion location.
Yeah.
That's still in the works though. Yeah. So before like I let you go, is there like any resources or anything that like you have that you could provide to parents, or like how can parents like find you, things like that?
Harmony Music Therapy has an Instagram and a Facebook page. So you just find that at Harmony Music Therapy. And then you can also go to the website, which is www.harmonymusictherapy.com. There are lots of fun examples of music therapy in action.
Well, go ahead and check that out. And if you are currently coming to Ability Innovations, or you're just seeing this online and you think that music therapy is right for you, if you go to abilityinnovations.com, we will have a music therapy tab, and I can link this in the show notes. And you can fill out a form, and that form will go directly to Carly and her team, and they will be able to reach out to you and schedule services at our Layton or Ogden location. So all of that will be linked down below. Again, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I think we talked about some important things, and I do think music therapy is important, and I really wish insurance companies saw that too. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Thank you, the listener, for joining us today. Again, if you want to support this podcast, and if you want to support families with kids who have disabilities or autism and support those communities, check out thevillagebehindthemask.org. There's lots of free resources on there, and there's lots of paid resources too. The Village is a registered 501c3 nonprofit in the state of Utah. So any paid resources that you do through the Village Behind the Mask, all of that money goes towards helping families in those communities, the autism and disability communities. There's various merch items that you can look at. There's worksheets you can look at. We're also transitioning our Therapy Unmasked courses over there that you can buy. So there's lots of different options for you to check that out. Or you can simply just sign up on the website for free, and we will send you resources for free, because that's what we do. But again, my name is Tyler. I'm the marketing director here at Ability Innovations. This is Carly with Harmony Music Therapy, and we will see you in the next episode of Therapy Unmasked. Bye.